Have you ever thought that the government was hiding the cure for cancer? I mean, why is cancer so hard to cure? I mean, it's been, what, hundreds of years since the scientific revolution, and yet no one's got a cure? Strange, right? Well, before we delve into that, shouldn't we understand what is cancer? Now, cancer is essentially a disease of the body's cells, and it usually is generalized into two categories. One in which the cell grows way too big, that it stresses the surrounding tissue and cells around it, or the cell proliferation is misbalanced. That means the balance between reproduction and cell death is off, and we're focusing on that the cell produces way too much, like an overgrown mitosis or overdone mitosis. And on top of this, there's actually multiple types of cancers. There's not just two, there's stuff like leukemia, which is bone marrow cancer. There's blood cancer. There's brain cancer. But understanding that it can be everywhere is actually vital. You see, the fact that it can be everywhere means that there's a lot of crucial effects. But then how do we cure it? See, there's two things, which is very common nowadays: chemotherapy or anti-cancer drugs and radiation. Now, anti-cancer drugs, what happens? See, when anti-cancer drugs are injected into the body, cancer actually produces a protein called P-glycoprotein, which actually removes the drug from the cell, rendering it useless. And in terms of radiation, if you want to essentially stop the cell from making these proteins, well, kill it before it can produce it. Well, you can't, you see, because the cell, in order to kill all these cancer cells, there's risk of killing the healthy cells. So again, the radiation, it will do more harm than good, and the anti-cancer drugs may not necessarily work, as the glycoproteins which the cancer cells emit essentially render it useless. And on top of that, cancers actually have an invisibility cloak mechanism. You see, as cells usually produce, they produce something called interleukin 33, which is an encoded protein which allows the immune system to detect it. And you see, as cancers adapt and mutate, they actually stop producing this. So our immune system cannot even find, detect, and kill these cells. Now, you can question, why not just inject the body with interleukin 33? You see, there was a study done on rats in which they found out that colon cancer is actually going to increase if that's the case. So encoding it with these proteins may not necessarily work either. So cancer obviously is a lot harder to cure than you think. See, radiation isn't the best, chemotherapy isn't the best, and the body can't even detect it. So then what? See, unfortunately, oncologists haven't even figured out this phenomenon. But we do know one thing for sure: the government isn't hiding it. And who knows? Maybe you could be the one who finds a revolutionary and crucial detail to figure out this long-lasting problem.